I'd like to bring the meeting of the Public Building Committee, February 5th, 2024 to order. And I'll reach out to see if there is any public audience. I don't know if there is anyone zooming in from the public. Hearing or seeing none, I'll move on to the approval of the January 8th minutes. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
By Bill Clegg, motion to accept. Do I hear a second? Second by Ryan Burns. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion moves.
I abstain. Dave Moore abstains.
Okay, Dave. All right, we'll go right to Latimer Lane, and we'll hear from Arcadis first with their report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Construction continued throughout the month of January. Included in our report is a 90-day construction look ahead. Most notably, we began the phase, what we'll call 2B areas of renovation, and O&G will further review the activities that took place and some of the upcoming activities. Overall, there's been no major budget changes. Currently, we've expended 58.7% of the overall budget and 61.3% of the owner's contingency. That is all I have for tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one quick one. What is the percentage of the job completion? You just explained to us the amount of money we've spent in both cases. How far along are we on the actual project?
Dave, do you have that figure?
We're approximately 60% of the way through the project.
Okay, so we're pretty close to the amount of money that's been spent, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think actually, right. I think our billing this month we're up to a total of about 67%.
Of billing.
Yep.
And how far with the actual work will be 60%? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a little more than 60%. It's around 65% with the project.
Trying to see how we're doing with progress and money. That's all. Great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
any other questions for Arcadis?
Yeah, we're just in line with, as far as where we are with billing and construction wise, we're pretty neck and neck with one another.
And what about the percentage of change orders or contingency we used?
We're technically for the owner's contingency, we're below. For the overall contingency, we're at 61.3%. So if we're 65% on the way with the construction, then we're under. And then likewise with the overall budget, we're 58.7%. So we're a little less than the actual construction progress.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, Ryan, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just with those contingency numbers that include the 200,000 deduct change that's in this packet from the owner's contingency.
It does not, but you'll see that reflected next month when we get those updated figures. But the overall expenditure for the change orders this month, with the credit to the owner contingency from the CM contingency, and then that drawdown for the ceiling change order is minimal. So you're not going to see like a huge budget jump overall, as if we were to just draw that overall 200K for the ceilings at once. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any other questions for Arcadis? Seeing no hands up, we'll move forward to Tecton.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Justin Hopkins, Tecton Architects. In your PBC update for the month of January, we provided a construction administration update, including the amount of new RFIs. Should read January, my apologies. 13 new RFIs for a total of 236. 5 new submittals for a total of 430. So We're by and large through all of the submittals on the project. We do have an application for payment number 14 for this evening. We held a total of 9 meetings, both working group and OAC meetings, and some subcontractor coordination meetings. We issued a combination of 8 bulletins between proposal requests and ASIs. A portion of those were intended to clean up some of the previous direction that we had provided for the ceilings. We will discuss PCOs during ONG's presentation. And I also included a couple of items with respect to FF&E and technology. We are prepared to go to our meeting with the state mid-month, or actually towards the end of this month, for a PCR review for FF&E and technology. I provided some furniture floor plans as well as a summary presentation as part of your PVC packet. And I can also go over the amount, our budget numbers, our estimate. So for the committee's edification, our total FF&E budget is $1,613,500. Our current budget is modestly under that budget at $1,607,633. And that includes a combination. I can share my screen if I'm able to. The screen says host disabled sharing. Can somebody help me out? Yes, I don't know if you're running.
Yes, I'm trying to, let's see. There we go. I think you should be able to now.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So there are primarily 3 buckets that we get our FF&E and technology procurement from. The largest being state contract. So you'll see in the state contract column, we have 1.13 approximately million in FF&E, 261,000 in technology. We also have bid items. These are items that are either not on state contract, or in the case of technology, OGA, Office of Grants Administration, has a rule if you have a state contract product that in aggregate exceeds $100,000, they ask us to bid that. So the majority of the technology under bid items are for our interactive displays, so 132,832. We also have some direct buy items. These are items that by rule are under $10,000 as a single item. We're allowed to direct buy them and maintain their eligibility. So here is the breakdown for FF&E and technology. And I'm going to stop sharing just so I can see everybody's screen. But as with any PCR, prior to being able to go sit at the state, we do ask that both the building committee and the Board of Education approve the plans and the budget for this phase, which this is phase, technically this is the 3rd phase because we had an early procurement. So I am happy to go through the presentation if you'd like, or answer any questions with respect to what's included, what's in, etc.
Thank you, Justin. Anyone have questions for Tecton? Bill Clegg.
Justin, I'm asking this, hopefully it's a rhetorical question. Any long lead issues?
Well, The critical path is making sure that we get the interactive displays ordered for an early turnover towards the end of April. But for the rest of the FF&E, we typically, we're still tracking 16 to 20 weeks in lead time. So the bulk of the material will ultimately is scheduled to arrive towards the end of August to be able to either be delivered and installed at that time, with some items that will wait until the entire building is turned over. But this was a deliberate strategy with Simsbury Public Schools and Principal Lizzetti to make sure that while we're doing these interim moves, we're using the existing furniture, and then when we get closer to final move-in. So where we are in the schedule is we have adequate lead time for the FF&E.
So no long lead issues that you
No.
can see? Okay.
No. And
Thank
we've
you.
been working closely with vendors to arrive at the state contract budgets and whatnot. So we've been, the good thing is where we are right now, we're able to use 2023 furniture pricing rather than 2024 based on where we think we'll be able to order it. So there is a little bit of an economy there. So the
That's
good
great.
news, even though these budget numbers were set, 3 years ago, we've been able to work within them, and still, we're tight up against the budget, but we don't have any busts either.
Okay, thank you. Again, any other questions for Justin from Tecton before we move on?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we do ask that this body conduct a formal vote to approve the FF&E and technology packages and budget.
now would that be a specific number? Is this that 1.6 million you're just talking about?
Yes. I can give you the exact number. $1,607,633.
I'll need that in the form of a motion.
Justin, would you just mind having the breakout of technology versus FF&E too, just so the minutes have that, please?
Yes. $1,213,406 for FF&E, $394,227 for technology.
Okay,
Move to
sorry, how
approve
much-
as indicated.
thank you, Ryan.
Second, Dave Moore.
Hearing a second. Any further, I'm sorry,
Question?
discussion, go
Question?
ahead.
So has the Board of Ed approved this already or not?
You're the first stop before we go to the Board of Ed.
So how do we know that this is what they want?
We have been working with Simsbury Public Schools over the last 12 months to arrive at these. We've gone over a number of working meetings and revisions and iterations with Principal Lizzetti, Jason, Assistant Superintendent Sullivan. Yes, sorry.
Thank you for that clarification.
No
I
problem.
didn't hear you
Thank
say it quite, that way. I wanted to know that they were on board.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Through the chair,
we're good. All in favor of this motion?
question
Aye.
for,
Hearing anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and is reflected in the minutes. Thank you, Justin. Okay, we'll move on to O&G for their report.
Mr. Chairman, I think John Butkus had a question.
Uh,
I'm sorry, Jim, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead, Jim.
yeah, just for clarification, the motion that was just passed is to accept the bid documents as Tecton presented them, and to provide and to give them authorization to submit the documents to the Office of Grants Administration for permission to go out to bid. So I don't know if we have to go back and redo the motion, but that's the full context of the motion that the state is requiring be on the record. That you're also authorizing them to now take the next step to go to the state review.
That's my understanding of the motion I made. Is that not clear?
I wasn't sure I heard that second part.
Okay.
But with your
Well,
with your clarification, thank you. Then the minute taker can capture that clarity.
I think we're good based on that. Okay,
excellent.
thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Moving forward to O&G.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Nice to see you again. So over the last month, we've had some pretty good progress. Phase 1, the 2 additions is 100% complete. We are working on punch list items. It did start out for the building itself a little over 300. We're down to about 50 items left. There are some site punch list items, but we have to wait until the spring. Phase 2, I have it approximately 20% complete. Over the last month, a lot of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, sprinkler rough-ins have been underway. The existing windows were removed. We're starting to install the new windows. We did do a test fit last week. A lot of the wall framing has been completed. The spray insulation was installed. We did a building inspector. He came out, looked at the in-wall mechanical inspections, and that was passed. We started sheetrocking the walls, installing the sheetrock ceiling as well. And this is all for phase 2A. And then the steel framing, the support penetrations for the mechanical equipment up on the roof was installed, and the angle iron to stabilize the CMU walls were installed for phase 2A. For phase 2B, the abatement is complete. General demolition is near complete. It's in the cleanup stage right now. A lot of the MEP rough-ins are underway, and steel framing, it was installed as well for the roofing, and wall framing, it has started. At this time, there is no site work activity due to the weather. The remaining value for the contingency money after the transfer of the funds is $428,397. There is a little over $37,000 left in the CM allowances, and a little over $400,000 left in the contractor allowances. And that's what I have for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions for O&G from members of the committee? No questions. Well, I guess that's good. I think we can move on to the change orders, but before we get to that, I think we have Jason Casey, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have something here that is a purchase order, which is different than a change order. Something to do with dishwasher racks.
Yeah, I can take this one. So it's a purchase order request. The vendor's Singer. You'll see the quote is dated January 17th of this year. It's in the amount of $1,078.15. So it's for small wares. Small wares are always an ineligible cost. These are items identified by the kitchen staff that are needed for the normal operation of the kitchen. So we went ahead and included this to get the purchase order created, and then we can get these items ordered and get them over to the kitchen staff for use in operating the kitchen.
Okay, so if we need to move forward with this, I'll need a motion.
I'll move to approve the purchase order for Singer in the amount of $1,078.15 for various kitchen smallwares as outlined in the quote.
Thank you, David. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Lucian. Thank you, Lucian. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. So now we'll go back to O&G and we can start going through the change orders.
Okay. The first PCO on the list is PCO 123. It derives from Bulletin 53. It's with regards to the grading of the sidewalk on the north side of the gym and how it ties into the grading around the basketball court. There was a little bit of a design conflict and contract buyout. But with the bulletin, the cost comes in at $12,306 to redo the sidewalk, and it's coming out of the CM contingency.
No cost change to the project.
No cost change to the project.
Do
I
I
have a
hear a
question.
motion?
I have a question. Was this sidewalk put in and then taken out?
It was put in, and a section of it has to be reworked.
I'm not sure that's our responsibility, but
Could someone address that in terms of, how did this get missed?
Dave, do you want me to chime in here a little bit?
Sure.
Yes. There were one set of documents, the structural set of documents depicted the scope one way relative to the foundation and the sidewalk, and the landscape drawings depicted that same scope of work in a different way. And so we had installed it in a way that we thought was correct through the structural documents. Turns out that it was the landscape drawings that was the intention. So it was not as though which is why we felt this was a contingency draw, was that this was, we had information on the documents. We believe we were using the correct precedent document, installed the work. And in order for the grades to work, the landscape document had to be utilized. So some rework was required to bring the final design to what inevitably was desired for the landscape documents.
Now, do the landscape documents, I know this sounds a little funny, talk to the structural documents? I mean, how come they don't agree? Or didn't agree?
Now, Mr. Chair, this is Jack again. This is a classic example of a design conflict, of a coordination issue. For tracking purposes, this change would be listed as a design issue. Our one request to O&G is that we clarify which portion of these costs are for the rework, because the rework as an ineligible cost will not be reimbursed by the state. So we just need to account for the ineligible portion appropriately.
So some of this is going on the list of errors and omissions?
Correct.
Okay, that's kind of my point. John, Salvatore?
I suppose if we resolve it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
all right. Well, I just wanted to get to that point anyway. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this issue? I'll need a motion to move it forward.
Move to approve PCO 123R2 in the amount of $0.
Second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none?
right here. I oppose that one.
You oppose that one? Okay,
Yes, I do.
one person opposed, John Salvatore. The motion carries. We'll move forward. Change order 132, I believe, is next.
Yes, 132 is next. This is a Bulletin 48, provided more clarity for the cabling and data connections. This is part of the phasing of the project, so the system stays up and running during construction. The cost to install and run the wiring is $9,320, and it's coming out of the contingency fund, and it's a no cost change to the project.
We anticipated this cost? We anticipated this cost?
It was anticipated, but it wasn't fully clear, and it was more clearly defined as we got involved with the project.
It was needed mainly, it's not as though the design was not deficient. What it was in phasing the work. We needed this cable to make sure that as we hopscotched around the building that we had the continuity of services. So if we weren't doing it in phases, the design as it was in its entirety. It's just this was something that was needed to accommodate the phasing of the work, which is one of the reasons why we have the CM contingency.
I have a question. I mean, did we have an allowance for the phasing, a specific dollar amount? I thought we did.
That
Associated with phasing.
not for things like this. That was more for safety and building temporary walls as we work through the project to secure the construction from the non-construction.
And to answer your question though, yes, we did have a phasing allowance. It was like Dave said for phasing and safety, but Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've pretty much utilized almost all the funds out of that.
Correct.
Other committee members' questions?
I don't want you in.
Looking for a motion?
I'll move to approve PCO 132R2 in the amount of $0.
David Moore, thank you. I need second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Number 135, change order.
Number PCO 135, it derives from Bolton 49. It's for the Ethernet cable, and it's the same concept as to what we just discussed. For continuity and keeping the system up and running as we work the project and phase through it. The cost for this item is $4,706. It comes from it's funded from the CM contingency, and it's no cost to the project.
Now, when you say we've been hopscotching around to accommodate the phasing and the moving of the classrooms and the kids, et cetera, was that ever laid out in advance, or was that something we're just kind of doing as we go? And what's the future look like because I'm sure there's more hopscotching to be done, you see?
This isn't necessarily with the classroom rooms. This is with the IDF and the MDF rooms, the data closets.
Just in general, though, I'm just saying. In other words, because this is not, there's no money left in that phasing allowance, I guess.
That's
correct.
As part of pre-construction, ONG, yes, goes through and phases the project. We did alter the phasing, especially for phases 2 and potentially phase 3, kind of breaking them out into even smaller phases. So that's where some of the cost comes from, but it did expedite, the turnover of certain spaces. But yes, ONG does go through that, and that's why this cost is funded from the CM contingency. As when we originally went through it, it just wasn't foreseen that maybe one of these rooms was going to be in a location or moved over time, etc.
And so as we get further along in the next phase in the next many months ahead, how does our phasing monies look, and how does our contingency money look in order to handle all these movements, which are necessary, and we need to do them. We will do them, but I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to have enough money.
Yes, we will have enough money. There's no more anticipated phasing work when it comes to the data and networking. It's the walls and temporary walls and doorways that we're going to have to set up and take down. That's the only phasing cost,
which we have numbers for.
We have some numbers, but not all of them, because we're still figuring out and working with Mike on where we can put them up and how to isolate the children from the work area. And then that really depends on how big of a wall needs to be built.
Yes, Bill Clegg has a...
So if I understood what you said just a moment ago, though, that the budget for walls and phasing, we have no more money in that budget.
In the allowance. Because we ended up breaking there's a phasing and safety allowance, and that's where we've
So
been
we're-
funding. And now that
So
we've
we're gonna
broken
do
it.
this, we're gonna do this again.
Correct.
There's potential, but some
Dave,
of the
Dave,
walls
we already
are
have a lot of controls
completed.
designed in though, as we make our way to phase 3. It's not as though this is work that's not designed or contemplated. This would just be some nuanced things as we moved from phase 2 into phase 3. If there's things in addition to what we've already designed into the documents
Understood.
for controls.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yep. We're not redoing it all from scratch.
No.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Any other questions? Change order 135. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve PCO 135R3 in the amount of $0.
Thank you, David. Second? Looking for a second?
Second.
Okay, second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to number 143.
PCO 143, with the exterior aluminum doors, the overhead stops that were designed into the door doesn't fit into the aluminum system. We did have to make a change, and these stops, they're needed because as if a door opens and there's a gust of wind, it'll keep it from going too far and breaking the hinges. The total cost for this is $6,350, and it's coming out of the owner's contingency.
I can fill in some additional information here. So I went through this with our door hardware representative. The specified closers were commonly accepted to have to support these exterior doors, and in between specification and basically installation, we were advised that we needed to change to a separate closer. And this cost is the material delta between the original specified closer and the new closer.
So there's
I'm
no
confused.
labor.
I'm
Sorry.
confused because the change order talks about stops, not closures.
Well, it's a combination stop and closure. It's kind of semantics at that point, but it controls the door opening and closing. I call it an overhead stop because it keeps it from swinging too far open.
Yeah.
So we have
Go ahead, Lucian. Go ahead.
we have the specified closures, and now they
Yes.
take them back and we get the new ones. What happened?
Yes,
Yes.
there was a credit for the ones that we purchased, and then the cost increase for the new ones.
And probably restocking charges and stuff like that.
No, they didn't indicate a restocking charge. Just
It was
dollar.
not through the submittal
Well,
process.
Excuse me. It's written right on here. It says a minimum of 45% for restocking.
Oh, Michael, 1 second.
It's written right on the proposal. From, what's he call it?
I think it's for the new, I believe it's for the new closers. Because this is the cost for the new closers.
No, this is on, what'd you call it? Oh, I guess maybe, it's not yet. It's not yet ordered. Cherry Hill, this is Cherry Hill glass. Yeah, did Cherry Hill have them originally and then you bought them from builders? I don't know I think this is builder's proposal, I guess.
Yeah, I'm looking. I didn't see the restocking
Well,
charge.
it just says a reprocessing fee of 45% will be charged.
All right. But it came, but yes, it did come from Builders Hardware through OWI, not Cherry Hill.
Oh, okay.
But I think the question,
their
Dave,
shop
was
drawing.
that is that note about the restocking just on the quote for the new materials? For
I
instance,
think it is.
the originally specified materials never arrived on site, right? That this
No.
was caught in the submittal phase, and we
Okay.
didn't have to pay to restock things. This is
No. This is what we're paying for is just the upcharge of the two different products.
I'd like to table this PCO till the next meeting. I don't know.
Why you say that, Zach?
The restocking fee is on the
It is.
on the and if Justin is saying that we caught this before the submittals, then we do not need to pay a restocking fee. So we need to do our due diligence and look into that further.
Okay, all right. We'll put that off, we'll table it and move on to the next change order. And just to be clear, the manufacturer of these doors decided they recommend that you change the closers, after the fact to these closers that we're now going to buy and have installed. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
And trust me, I've gone through this with our
Yeah,
rep.
And unfortunately, I've had some experience along these same lines with Anderson, doors, and it's in the fine print. They tell you later that this is not to be used as a primary entrance door, which of course is ridiculous because every door that you go through is an entrance door. But anyway, so we'll move on to change order number 146.
Just so you're aware sorry.
It looks like Justin has something else he wants to add.
No, I was just going to say that this is one of those that are listed in the design teams category. So there are a number of them.
Manufacturers. Should make up a list of manufacturers. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
right.
Trust
Exactly.
me. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There are a number of them that we're going to go over tonight that are in the design teams category, and I'll be happy to share where we are in the overall budget.
Okay, thank you.
Oh wait, yeah. So I am looking here again in the backup. It looks like it's page 177 of the PDF. There's a survey in there from builders, and there are a series of sets that they say was already in the shop and in the warehouse, and then there were a series of others that were not in the shop. So I guess we could double back on the timing of that, but they do believe that some of those materials were in hand that had to be restocked. So that was
page
177 of the packet.
Another day, another dollar.
Yep.
Okay, let's get on to 146, please.
PCO 146. During the inspection with the building official, Henry, during phase 1A, he noted that the corridor walls weren't sealed up for sound protection. And we had the contractor come in and seal them up with caulking and mineral wool to his satisfaction. And this cost comes in at $4,718, and it's coming from the owner's contingency.
This had to do with. Oh, sorry, Bill.
Go ahead. You started. Go ahead. Oh, keep going.
This had to do with the interface between some of the existing walls and the new addition. Our drawings did not show a detail of this condition at the top of those walls.
Those are existing walls. Go ahead, Bill.
If I understood, Dave, what you said is the fire marshal asked for it because of sound reasons?
No, building official, Henry.
I thought this says, the change order says at a request of the fire marshal.
Well, the fire marshal and Henry came through at the same time, and I did write the fire marshal because we had them out at the same time together. But
I just find it peculiar that the fire marshal would be interested in sound issues.
I think we can agree. They
That's
need
my
to be
only
clear.
point.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do, and the documents didn't indicate it.
Okay, all right. I'm looking for a motion for 146.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to 150.
PCO 150 is for temporary plugs for power and data outlets on the temporary wall in the cafeteria, the new cafeteria. We installed 4 new circuits for power and 2 data drops. This is part of the phasing and a request from the school. And the cost comes in at $9,085, and it's funded from the CM contingency. No cost to the project.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion
Yep. Bill?
that we accept
the
this.
motion. Second?
Second.
Second, David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to 152.
Rich, if I could,
Yes.
can we get a summary of what the phasing cost is? I mean, just for our own information,
Well, it'd be nice to have it broke down from the safety and the
Yeah,
wall.
that's all.
versus
Just to know
all this
what we're spending
technology, all
on
the
that.
electrical technology and stuff. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're exceeding your allowance, but it'd be nice to know how far over we're going.
So who will do that for us?
Zach, is that something you guys could handle?
Yeah, we'll work with LNG to get that.
Okay, all right. That's great. Thank you. Okay, we're on to 152.
152 PCO 152 during the phase 1 installation of the lighting and chill beams, a question came out as to mounting heights. A meeting took place, and everything was decided to raise up as high as it could. And then we had to go back and readjust some of the existing fixtures that were installed. And the cost for this is $7,163. It's coming from the CM contingency, and it's no cost change to the project.
Why did we have to rearrange or change the height?
I think it was to maximize the headroom in each classroom.
That was original, and then we went back and adjusted.
Because we kept moving forward, installing the systems. The meeting took place. It was then asked to raise it up as high as we can. I think things went up as much as 18 inches from what was installed.
Solution, the contractor installed the mock room and kind of proceeded with keeping on going, just hoping that would be the accepted. And after we accepted the mock-up room, it was agreed that these were going to be raised. So that's why this is a CM contingency line item.
Yes, but we keep
what height were they at? What height were they set at according to the drawing? I'm just curious.
I think it was around 8 feet.
The mock-up room was produced per the documents, correct?
Yes.
So it was decided by
Zach, right? Zach, can you opine on that?
who? To raise them up.
Yeah,
That was Tecton's decision. The goal of all of the infrastructure within the existing rooms and the new rooms is to provide the chill beams and the lighting as high as possible, so as to not. I mean, in most of the existing rooms, we're challenged by height anyway with the structure.
When the mock question,
So I could just summarize. In other words, to be clear, so they were specified to be at 8 feet. They did a mock-up and then you raised them up to 9 or 9'6", something.
Yeah, I'm looking at the reflected ceiling plan now. 1 second.
You're next, Bill.
So Justin, while you're looking, I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else can answer.
Go ahead.
Was the mock-up approved?
Based on the mock-up, that's when we requested the height modification.
But the contractor moved forward. So without an approved mock-up?
Things were put in, shown on the contract drawings. And then when the mock-up room was reviewed, it was decided at that point to raise things up as high as possible.
So again, they moved forward without an approved mock-up.
In order to keep the schedule, yes.
So how far did they get?
How
They
long did it
installed
take
them
to
all?
approve the mock-up?
All the classrooms in phase 1A were completed.
Right.
How many classrooms are there?
In
I think
1A,
it was,
Eight.
is it 8? I want to say 8.
8.
How long did it take to approve the mock-up?
I can't speak to that one. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I think Justin knows.
And was that a town approval or was it an architect's approval?
It was an architect's request when we reviewed the mock-up at before or after one of the OAC meetings.
And by then, they had gotten a whole bunch already done, if not all of them anyway. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess the follow-up question to me is, I understand we were on schedule, but why would a contractor move forward without an approved mock-up?
Well, I don't know how to answer that other than we're trying to hold and maintain the schedule. They were put in what the design was showing. The mock-up was more of a formality, and we kept pushing and moving forward, and then decision was made to raise them up.
I would respectfully say it wasn't just a formality, it was to stop this from happening.
So now going forward, everything is going to be as high as it can possibly be in each room.
I think it's a fine line that we're trying to draw between doing the very best job possible according to the design team as well as the on-site school principal and their input and staying on schedule. And I think this is what happens is that everybody is moving as fast as they can. And unfortunately, in this particular case, the timeline was moving a little faster than the catch-up line, the catch-up team to make sure everything is just the way they want. Justin, you want to weigh in on that?
We're out there. We're out there
Yeah.
whenever we're asked to be. So yeah,
I think Bill's
guess
point is that this should have been avoided, I think is what he's trying to say. Or it was avoidable. Okay. Anything else from any other members?
Yes, just one comment. I mean,
Yes,
we definitely get a good deal. $900 per classroom to raise lights and chill beams. That's good price. But I mean, everything comes out of CM contingency. At some point, we'll run out of money, and then it's coming from our contingency, and we are paying for all this. There is no CM contingency or anything there. So I think we should be a little bit more careful on how we approve all these change orders, even if they are coming from the CM contingency at some point. And I don't think that's not that much money left in the CM contingency.
There's over $400,000 left in the CM contingency and over $275,000 left in the owner's contingency. So with that, we're definitely comfortable with, you know, at least approving these lots of change orders out of the applicable contingencies. And that's with the ceiling change order that will be presented soon, as well as any outstanding potential costs that's being tracked by the owner, design, and construction management team.
First,
Mr. Chair,
I do not think this is a contingency item. I don't think it's an item that we should be paying for unless someone tells me that something the town did to delay the approval of the mock-up. But if you do a mock-up, to Bill's point, you don't continue, or you continue at your own risk.
Yeah, John, I'm fine if we table this one for tonight. I would rather we understand the mock-up and the requirements of the mock-up and what happened, because if a trade of ours did something in, you know, direct violation of a requirement, then, you know, they should be held somewhat responsible for this. So just, again, I don't know all the details of it, but it's just enough concern has been raised by the group that we'll go back and get you some more answers and a little more background on it. All right.
I mean, Dave, quite honestly, I'm surprised that you didn't have this issue with the sub if he proceeded without approval. You know.
Yeah, and right, and John, that's what I'll do some research into. So.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I can share a thought with Lucian.
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lucian, in the context of our agreement, we have a construction manager who is at risk. If there are elements of the project that are in scope changes, which fall under the category of CM contingency, and the CM contingency has run dry, then that comes out of the CM's profit on the project. That's where they find themselves at risk. So if there are changes that the owner institutes or field conditions or something that is an out of scope change, of course, that falls on the owner's contingency. But if anything was attributable to what we're now calling CM contingency things, that remains the CM's responsibility, even if that line is exhausted.
Well, I understand, Jack, but that would be sort of unpleasant to get in that situation. So if we can avoid that, that would be great.
And understandable, and every dollar is an owner dollar at the end of the day.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jack.
Okay. My screen is breaking up. I don't know if anybody else is having that problem.
No.
No. Well, I think we'll table this as suggested by David, and we'll move on to, I believe it's change order number 156.
Yep.
PCO 156, the landscape architect made a change to some of the crushed stone in the play areas. There were two layers. There's a top 2-inch layer of 3H wash stone and then 3 inches of a crushed stone. It's now changed so where it's all 5 inches of the same nominal size and type of stone, and it's no cost change. It's a zero cost change.
Okay. I think that's pretty straightforward. I will look for a motion.
Move to approve.
I think that was David.
Yep.
Second.
Second, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion moves forward. We're moving at lightning speed here on to change our number 159.
PCO 159 is adding in an IT closet in the basement of the school, computer racks, fireboard, fencing, lighting, some power. The cost for this comes in at $5,322, and it's coming, the funding is from the owner's contingency.
So this is an out of scope. This is new, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a new IT closet. Worked with Jason and his team to help facilitate this.
Do they need any conditioning for that closet, Justin? Cooling, ventilation? Is that heat generated there?
Yeah, I believe we vetted this solution, but I'll double back with CES. I think we're fine where it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
We did. There was HVAC for the basement space, and this is a open chain fence wall. So the heating and cooling is taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any other comments?
Yeah. What was the original plan for the IT equipment?
It was in a closet above, off of the administrative wing.
And why the change?
Jason, you may be able to help me out here, but I believe it facilitates it facilitates the operations easier where it is, where we moved it to versus where it was originally intended.
Yeah, there were two factors. It was originally in an area that was in the administrative wing, and the principal was looking to make that space all available for administrative use. So the space was better utilized as administrative space, and the downstairs location was better to be a wiring closet. So before that was storage and the upstairs was wiring closet. It just made more sense to flip the two.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve PCO 159 in the amount of $5,322.
Thank you. I think that was David Moore.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll second
it. I'll
And
second.
it was John, I believe. Thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion is carried. 160.
PCO 160 derives from RFI 157. There were a couple of rooms where it had exposed conduit in electrical boxes. The question was asked, do you want it to stay exposed or what should we do here? And the walls were furred out, and sheetrock was installed, and the cost for this is $2,515, and the funding source is the owner's contingency.
Again, a new scope. Out of scope.
Yeah, it was assumed that the conduit with the routing would be able to be concealed within an existing wall assembly. It was not. We did not account for the thickness of a wall to conceal the infrastructure.
Any other questions or comments about this? Change order number 160. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Second.
And I hear a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Moving on to change order number 168.
PCO 168 is a credit. It's the removal of the motors
So
for
moved. Sorry, I just been late in the load here. Go ahead, please.
It ultimately is the removal of the motorized shades in the cafeteria. The shades are still there; they're just not motorized, and it's a credit back to the to the project for $3,423.
Questions or comments?
Why
Motion.
don't we?
Go ahead, Lucian.
So when they move the motor, why there is nothing from the electrical contract? They have the wires and the conduits already installed?
Part of this change was to remove the controllers and motors from the cafeteria, but there are other rooms where motors were added in. So for the electrical contractor, he kind of moved things around. It was a wash.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Other comments, questions? Looking for a motion?
Move to approve 168 for credit in the amount of 3423.
Thank you, David. Second?
Second.
Second, Lucian. All those in
No,
favor?
Ryan.
That's Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, I'm sorry. I can't see him. Going by voices here now. Okay, anyway, so Ryan, thank you. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. 169.
PCO 169, the short of it is it's a no-cost change. There was some coordination conflicts in a couple of the bathrooms above ceiling with the ductwork and supply and return grills. We just had to move things around. And again, it's a no-cost change to make things fit.
Okay. Any other questions about this? Looking for a motion?
Move to approve 169 in the amount of 0.
Second?
Second.
Second, Ryan, I got you there. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. On to 170. And just to throw out that we should probably discuss change order 179 at the same time. We can vote them separately, but one's a credit, one's a cost. So just please explain 170 change order PCO.
So PCO 170 is for the installation of the sheetrock ceilings in the classrooms. This has been an ongoing challenge to find the best finish, the best path forward. The cost for this work is $186,646. That's PCO 170. And then PCO 179 is the transfer of funds for totaling $200,000 from the CM contingency back to the owner's contingency.
Okay, so taking them one at a time. Anybody have any additional questions about change order 170?
I just want the math. So we had $200,000 in owner's contingency and $400,000 in CM contingency. We're transferring 200 from the CM contingency, so we're left with 200 there. We'll have $400,000 on the owner's contingency, and we are paying $200,000 for the ceiling, right?
The figures I gave you earlier already include this cost. So
okay.
At your current stand, the CM contingency with everything approved tonight would be at 413 roughly. And then the owner contingency would be around 278,000.
With the ceiling.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything presented on this log tonight is already included in those figures.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay.
So this is 22,500 square feet of ceiling.
Yes.
Bill was raising his hand.
Go ahead, Bill. Clegg.
Bill, you're muted.
You might be muted. I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
What was the credit for what was in the drawings and in the bid?
So the credit came back for there's the media center. Across the hall is the music room, the instrumentational room, and the hallway 220. What was going up there was K13, which is like a spray insulation product. That came back at $45,000 credit. And then there was a patching credit from the painter to try to patch the existing, and that was a little over $6,000 credit. So the two credits came in at around $52,000.
And there was no painting for the whatever was there?
Well, no, painting's is gonna happen, but it's a patch. The design is to go in and try to patch up the existing ceilings, you know, where it's torn, cut, you know, kids throw pencils over the years, make it stick. And it just didn't quite work out. So the credit on that, it came back from it was about a little over $6,000.
Why are we painting the ceiling now? Isn't that the tile ceiling?
No, it's sheetrock.
It was, Lucian, the existing ceilings were called to be patched and painted.
Okay,
So,
I got it. I remember. I'm sorry. I know, just thank you.
Okay. So we're gonna look for a motion just for one of these at a time, because one's a credit that we have to motion just to keep the book straight. So we're looking for a motion for PCO 170.
So moved.
Thank you,
Dave Moore.
David. And do I hear a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion moves forward. Now, at this time, I'd like to, just for clarity, is to look for a motion for PCO 179.
So moved. Dave Moore.
Thank you,
Second.
David. That was Bill, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that kind of clears up those two PCOs at this point. Going on to the finish line, 171.
PCO 171 was for a third cleaning of the new kitchen. We did carry 2 cleanings as part of our base package. We opted for a third one because at the time, you know, we were finishing everything up. The school was moving in. There was just a lot of commotion, and we felt it was, you know, it was worthwhile to have the kitchen itself cleaned a third time. It's a cost of $1,242, and it's from the CM contingency.
Okay. Any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to 176.
PCO 176. This is in the old gym area. There was the wooden stage. It was scheduled to be demolished. Some of the elevation plans for room, whether it's at the higher elevation or lower, was a little unclear. And RFI was asked, you know, how to best define it. Bulletin 41 was created, and it's now being infilled with cold metal framing and plywood. And the cost for this is $19,777, and the funding source is the owner's contingency.
I'll jump in here. Both this PCO 176 and PCO 178 are design team busts between demolition and accurately defining the extent of the stage that is to remain. As it's combustible, we, in lieu of providing additional fire protection underneath the stage for 2B building, we issued the proposal request to provide this in non-combustible construction, and this is the cost to do this.
It's less than the sprinklers, Justin?
What's that?
It's less than the sprinklers?
No, there were no sprinklers that were accounted for underneath the stage.
I understand that, but doing the non-combustible, it's less than the sprinklers.
If you were to
Yes.
install sprinklers
Yes.
on the stage?
Yes,
And the space under the platform is not used for storage.
it's not used for storage. It's concealed non-combustible space.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? I'll entertain a motion for this.
Move to approve PCO 176 in the amount of $19,777.
Thank you, David. Second,
Second, Lucian.
Lucian. Thank you, Lucian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Moving on to our last, I believe, change order, PCO 178.
PCO 178, Justin touched on it a little bit. Most of the existing interior doors to the classrooms, they come in at it's a 9-foot door opening with a 1-foot transit above it. And the new doors are for 7-foot doors. And the question was, how do we infill that's the remaining space where it went from 10 feet to 7 feet? And we chose in the direction of framing it and installing sheetrock. And the cost for this is $8,418. And the funding source is the owner's contingency.
What are we paying for this?
The amount,
Yeah, but why are we paying for it?
the drawings did not account for the framing above the opening.
Right. So this is the second design issue you're talking about, right? Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Looking for a motion?
Move to approve PCO 178 in the amount of $8,418.
Thank you, David. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to invoices. I think we're done with the PCOs, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, invoices. We can start with Arcadis. I think they gave us 2 invoices this month. Oh, that's right, because that didn't come in late last month. The packet didn't get into the packet. They were late. Okay, so we've got an invoice from Arcadis dated January 11th, 2024. Invoice number 34411545 in the amount of $13,318. Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to
So
accept.
moved.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion passes. The second invoice is dated January 30th, 2024. Invoice number 34414497 in the amount of $13,318. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Move to
Second.
approve. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. I believe you only have one from Tecton. Okay, invoice number 46964. The date is January 29th, 2024, in the amount of $20,973. Motion?
Yeah, so
Move to
moved.
Accept?
I'll second.
Second. Thank you, David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to Myers, who I believe sent us 2 invoices. The first one is dated 12/31/2023, invoice number 220-052-250 in the amount of $100.80. Motion to approve by
So moved.
so moved. Second. I think I heard a second somewhere.
Yep, second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion moves forward. Okay, we have a second invoice from Myers, is January 31st, 2024, invoice number 220-053432 in the amount of $100.80. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Ryan. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries as well. Then we move on to, I believe, Connecticut Communications. Invoice number 36850 TP, dated 12/14/2023. And this is for the amount of $8,765. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Ryan. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. We move on to the final invoice, which is the O&G payment application number 14. The date is January 30th, 2024. I'm sorry. No, it's February 1st, 2024. In the amount of $897,269.94. Is that correct? David?
Yes.
You got that same number? 897-269-94. Application number 14.
Move to approve.
So moved to, and seconded by Ryan, I believe. All those in favor?
That's fine.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. I believe that's the last invoice. Is that correct?
Yes,
Last
it is.
invoice? Okay. All right. I believe that we are done with Latimer Lane for tonight. And we can move on to a update, I guess, about the Eno Memorial Hall, which I think Tom Roy is still out there somewhere.
I'm still here. Wouldn't give up that easy. We have a new town manager. I don't know if many of you are aware. He just started last month, Mark Nelson. His original feeling was that the Eno project could be done without going through the PBC process and that we would just simply update the PBC periodically. In talking to our acting chair, Durr, he suggested that we run this through the Board of Selectmen. The town manager was going to have a conversation with the first selectman about this project in the next couple of days, and I think we'll have more to report next month.
And I can only add on to that, whatever they talk about is we just need a letter from the Board of Selectmen to tell us how they want us to handle this. If they want us to be involved at all and to what degree, and then we'll act on that as we do with all the other jobs or projects that are given to us by the Board of Selectmen, because we technically are instructed by them.
Right.
Okay.
Which actually I think leads into your next agenda item.
Right. The next item is a discussion about officers for the Public Building Committee. I will open with what we have done traditionally in the past 20, 25 years, is that members of the committee will discuss among themselves, who may be interested in any of the three positions that are annually or biannually every 2 years, which would be the chairman, the vice chairman, and the secretary's position. And then a slate of officers is put together someone would bring that forward in a motion at our next meeting, and then we would vote on that, hopefully in the affirmative manner. So others can jump in here and comment on that process, if that's going to be a workable process for them. I do believe you had a recent copy of the rules of the committee, and I think most of that is pretty clear as to what needs to be done. Any questions?
If I could just add very quickly, and I did like the way you called it, the most recent copy of the rules and procedure that was amended back in '94.
Well, actually, it should have been amended after that, but that's okay.
Okay, that's the only one.
The term limits. The term limits have changed. That's the only thing that's changed.
Okay.
That and the time that we start.
Oh yeah, what's the time that we start on the guidelines, the rules?
On the old one, it was 7:30.
Oh, 7:30. Okay, all right. Okay, that's different.
In that case, anything in that first half hour is
We're in trouble. We got a lot of half hours to straighten out.
Yeah. To that end, one of the things that was interesting is this would also be the time, if there was anything within the rules of procedures or how this is set up, you have the ability to modify that. And the one that I would just bring forward to you is the secretary position is defined under Section 3E as bringing forward at the end of each year the attendance effectively of the committee throughout the year. I think that's somewhat dated, especially now that we have these meetings managed by a clerk and we have meetings being prepared essentially by town staff. Just a question as to whether or not the committee wanted to discuss keeping that or changing that.
Well, I think that could be the order of business for the new slate of officers to make that, motion, and this will give everybody time to think about that. A couple of things that I'll add to that secretary's position. I do think that's outdated, as Tom Roy has eloquently pointed out. But I think that what people have forgotten about the secretary is that the minutes are to be delivered, by email or by hand, whatever, by written, to the secretary prior to them being sent out to the committee. And then, of course, we still have the opportunity when we have our meetings to make any changes to them. But that's one of the responsibilities of the secretary, is to verify the minutes are accurate before the members even see it. See if there's any corrections that need to be made. Just for general purpose interest.
One other issue, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
In the section on quorum, we define in section under procedure, it says a quorum shall be a minimum of 5 members.
Yes.
Given our kind of chronic vacancy issues, that has created some difficulty in ensuring quorum for every meeting we've had. We've been pretty lucky, but we've made it by the skin of our teeth a few times. State law doesn't require that it be a majority of the total number of seats available, but it's the total number of appointed members. So if we were in a situation...
Appointed member. Okay, got it.
Of appointed members. So we have 9 seats available, but if only 7 were appointed, the quorum would be reduced to 4 from 5, which would allow us to conduct business. So if we were to consider amendments, that would be something that may be worth consideration.
Okay. I think that it's a slippery slope with the chronic problem of inattendance. We end up with fewer people making decisions, and then everybody else sets back and says, oh, well, I don't need to be there. So-and-so can do that. I don't need to be there. So-and-so can do this. But in reality, it definitely has been a problem for us. So we just have to be as careful as we can with that. And if we do reduce that, we still need to instill in our members how valuable each and every one of you are to the team, and that your participation in, the discussions, during the meetings, it's important, because these are the kinds of things that your fellow Simsbury residents, if they happen to see something online or jump into a meeting for a few minutes, you'd be amazed once everybody finds out that you're on Public Building Committee, how often you get stopped at Fitzgerald's to ask what's happening with that Latimer Lane parking lot. Are they ever going to get that done? And those kinds of things. And you want to be able to, make them feel that, we're doing our part as a 9-member committee. And I'd love to see, all 9 members here most all the time, if not as often as possible. One other, I think, item that is for us to think about, and I've lost my train of thought because I'm talking too long here. My apologies. The quorum, I think that's a good point. Yes, subcommittees. Okay, we ran into a problem back in the 90s with subcommittees where it seemed like every school project, every town project had, subcommittees. And what was happening is that they weren't being noticed. And that's why I go back to Tom Roy again about how there are people that are very particular about the noticing of the meeting and what's going to be discussed and what's not going to be discussed and what's on the agenda, what's not the agenda. And what was happening is that the subcommittees were not posting their meetings, and therefore the public was concerned, and there was some, I don't think there were any actual filings, but there were rumblings about the Freedom of Information Act. And so there were some interested citizens that were going to get into the middle of the, another process that, just talk about slowing things down, slows things down for everybody. So if we can stay away from subcommittees, I think we're better off. We get a more fully engaged committee of 9, hopefully, and everybody's involved instead of having 2 or 3 people working at the library project, 2 or 3 people working at the skating rink project, 2 or 3 people working at Central School, and 2 or 3 people working at Terrifield School. And it seems like a good idea at the time, but in the long run, it's been proven not to be as helpful as you would think. So back to the 9 members, we need to push each other to be engaged. Okay, so I have said enough, and I will say no more other than I'm looking for a motion to adjourn if there's no other comments.
One comment to make.
Yes.
As far as attendance is concerned, I'm also an alternate on the zoning commission, and the zoning commission meets on the first and third Mondays of the month. Now, that means that I'm not at the fun meeting tonight over at the library dealing with the 590 building application that has got the town folk out with pitchforks and torches. So I'm not really upset that
we're keeping you safe, Dave. We're keeping you safe.
But I was thinking that maybe we might want to consider the second Monday of the month as opposed to the first, because that would then allow for anyone who's a member of another town organization to make sure that they're here for this meeting.
If I may,
yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Brian, yes.
Well, that's a good thought. Unfortunately, we had to file our calendar with the Secretary of the State for the whole year. And if we were to make any changes, those become special meetings, which add a whole bunch of new requirements.
Right.
So that's something we may have to consider for 2025.
I'm thinking for the future, at least.
Yeah.
And the only other thing to add to that is that I know that when they did the charter revision, which they've done several times in the last 25, 30 years, there's a method to the madness of the meeting schedule. And part of it has to do with staff members like Tom Roy, who I believe his official title is town engineer, but I could be wrong, where he is also responsible to be a liaison to other committees such as the Board of Selectmen. And so it's not just zoning we have to look at. We have to look at Board of Finance, Board of Board of Selectmen, and all those other ones to make sure that we're not upsetting the apple cart if we were to change our meeting. I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm not saying we can't, but it's a little bit more complicated and we would have to look into all that.
Understood.
Did you?
And Mr. Chairman, and just to, from my perspective, I have a standing meeting on the 2nd and the 4th,
Right.
Mondays. So,
Yeah.
and I know that there's not an easy answer for this. I get it, but I just figured I'd at least throw that out.
No, and we've tried that before because I had a meeting that I've had to skip for years on the first Monday of every month at the church, and that's just the choice I have to make. So we'll look at all that. Well, we'll be keeping you safe for a while, David, if you keep coming to our meetings, and we'll hope for the best.
With that in mind, I move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Jason has a.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mr.
yes,
Chairman,
Jason.
just one point of housekeeping.
Yes.
Historically, the town has kept a contact list for the membership with email address and phone number. And it's been brought to my attention that the email addresses are up to date, but the phone numbers are spotty at best. So I'm going to send an email out to the committee just requesting an update on that information, that contact info. So just didn't want to surprise anybody with that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you all very much, and have a good night. And
Good night, everyone.
we'll talk more between now and then, and we'll see you at the next meeting.